Every man who struggles in dating eventually asks the same question. What do women want? And the moment you ask it, you step into a trap. Because the most dangerous assumption in dating is that attraction is a conscious decision. That if you just say the right thing, do the right thing, time it right, you can reliably trigger desire. Like it's a keypad, like she has a code. But female mate choice is not a code. It's a black box. Not because women are mysterious, because the mechanism is layered, subconscious, context-sensitive, and shaped by evolution. That's why one man can say almost nothing and she's locked in. Another man can do everything right and she feels nothing. And the worst part, even she often can't fully explain it. In this video, you'll learn why the hack mentality fails, why scripts are fundamentally unstable, and what actually works when the system can't be controlled. Because once you stop trying to force the black box, you start winning by changing what goes into it. Let's define what a black box means. A black box is a system where you can observe inputs and outputs, but you can't reliably see or control the internal mechanism. You can do X and sometimes get Y, but other times you do the same X and you get nothing. So you keep searching for hidden variables. That is exactly how most men experience women's attraction. They see a woman get obsessed with a guy who barely tries. They see a nice, competent man get ignored. They see a woman say she wants one thing, then choose something else. So they conclude women are inconsistent, irrational, or dishonest. But the truth is simpler. The internal mechanism is not fully conscious, and it was not designed to make sense to modern rational debate. It was designed to optimize reproductive outcomes in an ancestral world. That's evolutionary psychology in one sentence. Not romance, not fairness, outcomes. Now there are two important implications. First, women do not have access to all the reasons behind their attraction. Second, even if they did, those reasons are context-dependent. So any method that assumes a stable conscious formula will fail over time. Now let's anchor this to research without turning it into a lecture. A foundational principle is parental investment theory, associated with Robert Trivers. Because women historically carried higher biological cost in reproduction, selection favored greater selectivity and more complex filtering. That doesn't mean women are cold. It means the stakes of a poor choice were historically higher. So the filtering system evolved to be cautious, multi-layered, and sensitive to risk. That filtering system is what men are trying to hack with lines. And that's why they fail, because a line can't override a system built to detect risk, quality, and intent across multiple channels. Now think of what that system has to do. It has to evaluate genetic quality cues. It has to evaluate resource and stability cues. It has to evaluate character and reliability cues. It has to evaluate danger cues. It has to evaluate social proof. It has to evaluate context, timing, and availability. Then it has to do it fast, often with minimal information. So what does evolution do when the data is limited? It uses heuristics, shortcuts, pattern recognition. And those shortcuts are not always verbal. They are often visual, behavioral, tonal, energetic. This is why you can say the perfect line in the wrong emotional state and it lands badly. And you can say something simple in the right state and it lands perfectly. The black box is not reading your words only. It's reading your signals. Now you can see this in speed dating research, in online dating patterns, in real-world mate choice observations. Even when people claim they value one thing, their behavior often reveals different priorities at different moments. It's not hypocrisy, it's layered selection. Short-term attention and long-term commitment are not evaluated the same way. So the first reason scripts fail is this. Female mate choice is multi-objective. It is not choosing one trait. It is choosing a bundle under uncertainty, under risk. Now, the second reason scripts fail, preferences vary a lot. Men want one universal model, but women do not share one universal preference profile. Some women are drawn to stability. Some are drawn to excitement. Some want competence and calm. Some want humor and chaos. Some prefer older. Some prefer younger. Some value religion. Some value status. Some value physical dominance. Some value gentleness. Even within the same woman, preferences shift with life stage, goals, and context. So any one-size-fits-all method is mathematically doomed. The more diverse the chooser population, the less reliable any single tactic becomes. That is just reality. Now, this is where some men argue, okay, but aren't there patterns across cultures? Yes, and research supports that. David Buss and others have shown cross-cultural trends in mate preferences. But here's the nuance. Trends don't equal certainty. Trends tell you what tends to matter on average. They do not give you a hack that works on an individual at a specific moment. Averages are not a cheat code. They are a compass. So if you build your life around patterns, you gain advantage. If you try to force an outcome with a line, you lose. Now, a third reason scripts fail. Context dominates. You are not being evaluated in a vacuum. You are being evaluated relative to her environment, the setting, the mood, the social situation, her current priorities, her recent experiences, her level of safety, her level of stress, her desire for novelty, her desire for commitment. Even the time of day and social crowd matters because those change perceived risk. So what does that mean? The same man can be attractive or unattractive depending on context. The same approach can feel charming or inappropriate depending on context. So scripts, by definition, ignore context. They assume a stable stage. But real life is not a stable stage. This is why tactics become fragile. Now, a fourth reason scripts fail: risk sensitivity. Female mate choice is not just attraction, it is risk management. Historically, saying yes too easily could mean pregnancy, abandonment, social damage, or violence, so the system evolved to be more cautious. This is why women often screen for intent, maturity, stability, and social calibration. If your behavior triggers risk flags, attraction often shuts down regardless of words. And this is where men confuse boldness with pressure. Boldness is clear and calm. Pressure is needy and persistent. The black box can tell the difference, not perfectly, but often enough. Now, a fifth reason scripts fail: deception detection. Humans evolved to detect manipulation because manipulation is a constant threat in social life. So when you use tactics, you often produce signals that don't match your natural state. Your words say one thing, your tone says another, your body language says another. That mismatch reads as inauthentic, and inauthentic reads as risky. So even if your line is good, the delivery leaks. This is why guys who try to run routines often feel cringy. Not because the line is bad, but because their nervous system is not aligned with it. The black box reads the misalignment. Now there's also a scientific angle here. Some researchers discuss error management theory, often associated with work by Hazelton and Buss. The idea is that when errors have asymmetric costs, the brain evolves biases. So in sexual contexts, certain biases develop because the cost of a wrong choice is higher. This does not mean women are paranoid. It means the system is designed to avoid costly mistakes. So if you appear ambiguous, inconsistent, or unsafe, the system can default to no. That's not personal. That's the safety bias doing its job. Now, let's talk about what men do when they accept the black box. They go down two paths. Some become bitter. They say, women are impossible, dating is rigged, nothing works. That is a psychological collapse. Others become strategic. They say, okay, if I can't control the internal mechanism, I can control the inputs. That is maturity. So what are the inputs? You already know them from earlier videos: mate value and exposure. But here we go deeper. The correct way to operate a black box is not to try to hack it. It is to raise signal quality, then increase sampling. Raise the quality of what you bring, then increase the number of opportunities for fit. Because fit is not forced. Fit is discovered. Now let's name the core myth that keeps men trapped. The myth is that attraction is produced by cleverness, that if you become clever enough, you can bypass reality. This is why men love lines. Lines make you feel powerful. They make you feel like you can control uncertainty. But uncertainty is the nature of mate choice. Mate choice is probabilistic. You will always have unpredictability because women are not robots, and neither are you. So the goal is not certainty. The goal is higher odds. Now, what increases odds? Signals that are hard to fake. This is a key idea in signaling theory. In biology, signals evolve to be reliable when they are costly to produce. A peacock tail is expensive. That's why it signals quality. In humans, many attractive signals are costly too. Fitness takes time. Competence takes years. Social proof takes relationships. Emotional stability takes discipline. Good style takes taste and effort. Leadership takes repeated success. These are hard to fake long-term. That's why they work. So the move is to invest in signals that cannot be faked easily. Then the black box responds more consistently. Not perfectly, but more consistently. Now another piece. The black box is also influenced by social proof. Women are social learners. Humans are social learners. If a man is respected by others, liked by others, chosen by others, he is often perceived as higher value. That's not shallow, it's efficient. It reduces search cost. It reduces risk. It signals that others have already filtered him. But it matters here because it explains why tactics fail. If you have no social proof, a line won't replace it. If you have strong social proof, you can say less and still be attractive. Now, another factor. Female mate choice is not one system. It's multiple systems. There is short-term attraction. There is long-term evaluation. There is sexual interest. There is relationship interest. There is curiosity. There is safety. These can align or conflict. A woman can feel attracted but decide it's risky. A woman can value you long-term but not feel chemistry. A woman can feel chemistry but not trust you. So when men ask, why did she like me then leave? Often it's because one subsystem said yes and another subsystem vetoed it. And the veto is often not verbal. It's a feeling. Now this is why men should stop seeking universal approval. You don't need every woman to choose you. You need the right segment to choose you. This is a market concept. Market segment. People segment. If you try to appeal to everyone, you signal nothing. If you sharpen your identity and standards, you become a better fit for a smaller group. And that group chooses more strongly. This is why being generic is low value. Not because it's bad, but because it's not distinctive. Distinctiveness creates preference. Now, let's talk about the practical consequences. If you accept the black box, you stop trying to be impressive in a scripted way. You start focusing on three things: signal quality, signal coherence, signal volume. Signal quality is mate value, your health, competence, style, stability, social proof. Signal coherence is alignment, your words, tone, and behavior matching. Signal volume is exposure, creating enough opportunities for the system to find fit. Now notice how this changes your mindset. You stop obsessing over one interaction. You stop walking into a conversation trying to win. You walk in to test for fit. This removes pressure. Pressure is one of the most unattractive signals a man can broadcast. Pressure signals scarcity. Scarcity signals low perceived value. So paradoxically, the less you need the outcome, the better your signals. Now that doesn't mean you don't care. It means you don't cling. You are open, clear, and calm. If it's mutual, it progresses. If not, you exit cleanly. And that is what high-value behavior looks like. Not arrogance, self-respect. Now, we should address the elephant in the room. If scripts don't work, why do some men swear they do? Because sometimes they do. But that doesn't prove the method is reliable. It proves that in some contexts, for some women, with some delivery, the method did not fail. That is not the same as being a stable system. You can flip a coin and get 5 heads. That doesn't mean you found a head hack. So when a man uses a line and it works, he attributes success to the line. He ignores all the hidden variables, his looks, the setting, her mood, her life stage, social proof, timing. That is why the market is full of fake certainty. People confuse correlation with control. Now, once you accept that, you become free. Because you stop chasing tricks, you start building. And building is boring, but it compounds. Fitness compounds, style compounds, competence compounds, network compounds, emotional stability compounds, exposure compounds. Then your outcomes compound. Now, bring this back to the theme of the series. Earlier we said rejection is cheap and avoidance is expensive. The black box concept reinforces that. Because if you can't control individual outcomes, the only rational move is to increase attempts while raising quality. You can't demand certainty, so you run volume, and you upgrade the inputs. That is what high performers do in any domain. Sales, business, sport. They don't cry over one failed attempt, they build systems. Dating is the same. Now, one more key lesson. The black box doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you signal. So if you say you're confident but your body is tense, the box reads tension. If you say you have options but you chase, the box reads scarcity. If you say you're calm but you seek validation, the box reads need. So the goal is not to say the right words. The goal is to become the kind of man whose signals are naturally aligned. That is why methods fail. Methods try to mimic signals without building the underlying traits. Women are not perfect at detecting fakery, but they are good enough often enough. So the winning strategy is not to perform high value, it is to build high value. Now, let's close the main narration with the true principle. Female mate choice is a black box, so you don't beat it with lines. You win by raising input quality, choosing the right contexts, and increasing exposure so fit can be discovered. That is the whole game. Here's the takeaway. Female mate choice isn't a conscious checklist you can hack. It is a layered system shaped by evolution, risk, context, and subconscious pattern recognition. That's why scripts and tactics fail. They assume a stable formula, but the formula changes with the woman, the moment, and the environment. So stop chasing magic lines. Instead, control what you can control. Raise signal quality, fitness, grooming, competence, status, social proof, emotional stability. Raise signal coherence. Align your words, tone, and behavior. Raise signal volume. Increase exposure and sample for fit. Then adopt the mature frame. You are not trying to convince. You are trying to find mutual interest, because you don't need every woman. You need the right woman, and the black box can't be forced. It can only be fed better inputs, in better contexts, at higher volume. That is the real hack. Stop hacking women. Start upgrading the signals you bring to the market.